If you would ever like to listen to Writing with Eirian episodes while you are doing dishes, picking up dog poop, or driving to work, head over to eirianwrites.com/writing. That's EIRIANWRITING to stream this episode and all the other Writing with Eirian episodes in audio format. Greetings and salutations, creative minds. Welcome back to Writing with Eri, my podcast on my self-publishing journey and the tips and tricks I have learned along the way. It has been a little while since I've recorded an episode. I have been focused on writing the sequel to Finding New Haven, and now it is November, which is National Novel Writing Month. So since I'm participating in NaNoWriMo, I thought it was the perfect time to create an episode. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor, and then we're going to dive right in. I hope you are well, and I'm excited to be with you here today. Today's episode is brought to you by Eirian Writes Studios and EirianWrites.com. EirianWrites.com is what I like to call the mothership. There you will find all of the Eirian Writes books, both paperback and ebooks, as well as Eirian Writes wearables that you won't find anywhere else. Check out the recently launched Pink Candy cover artwork collection, and don't forget to sign up for the newsletter to find out when the next collection launches. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get back to today's episode. So, as we head into the fall, which means here where I live, it's already snowing, make sure to grab yourself one of those Eirian Writes hoodies or sweatshirts because they are so warm and so toasty and so comfortable and so amazing that you're not going to want to wear anything else this fall or winter. So go pick one up. I love you so much. Now, let's talk about NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month. So, this is the first year that I have participated in NaNoWriMo as an author, and I'll tell you why. The idea of writing a novel in a month has always intimidated the heck out of me. And so when I first heard about NaNoWriMo back in like 2016, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like 2016. Not that it really matters, but when I first heard about it, it scared the heck out of me because I was at the point in my writing career where I wasn't able to craft stories that quickly. I was letting writer's block get in my way and using my right brain instead of my left brain to come up with stories. I was very analytical about it and just put myself in crazy little boxes. So the first time I attempted writing a novel in a month was actually in August of, June of 2019, excuse me. So when I first found out that you could write a novel in a month, and I finally found out that the thing standing in my way was myself and that I just needed to put pen to paper and write, I ended up writing Flashbacks and Afterglow in a month, and that is one of my favorite stories, the sequel to Did You Hear About the Prince Party, where Snowflake, which is my Snow White character, starts to dive more into her trauma and her healing, and then there's also this wacky, goofy 12 Dancing Princesses side story, and I wrote that whole novella in a month. And granted, it is a novella. Technically, it would be like a young adult novel, so take your pick. But the first time I ripped the Band-Aid off made it seem like a miracle. And I haven't written a book in a month since then. I came pretty close with #Selfish Sunday, but because of the topic of that book and how closely related Keone Magnolia is to my human being, I took a lot longer than a month to write that first draft. So, I have been working on the Finding New Haven sequel, which I am calling New Haven is Where the Heart Is, for the last few months. I've been sitting on this story idea for about 4 years now, since one of my readers, best fans, and someone who I added to my team as a proofreader, Sam Stokes, lovely gal. You should please go check out her GoFundMe. She needs some help, and we're very short of her goal for her medical procedure. She suggested that I write a sequel for Finding New Haven. She said there's no way that this could just be a standalone, and if she was willing to email me asking where the sequel was, then there has to be other people waiting for the sequel. So I've been working on it for the past couple of months. I'm about 2/3 of the way done heading into November, and I've decided to use National Novel Writing Month to finish my manuscript. And that might be kind of controversial considering I didn't start writing Finding New Haven 2 in November, but because I've been sitting on this project for so long, I would like to finish the first draft by the end of November because it's already been 4 years. And so I have a notebook. I'm writing in it every single day. And by golly, as far as me recording this, that is November 6th, so we're 6 days into NaNoWriMo. And I have definitely written every single day, and I know that I will be finishing this manuscript by the end of this month. And actually, ironically, I thought that New Haven is Where the Heart Is was going to just be a novella, but the more I write and the more I sit with the story, the longer it gets. So we're probably going to get a full-length novel by the end of this, just because I've been having way more success with the story than I thought I would. So that's what I'm working on for NaNoWriMo. I'm not a purist on this. I'm just not. I needed the deadline and the community event to help me finish this sequel that I've been sitting on for too long. But a lot of people use this for a first draft anyways, and I highly recommend, even though the first time I wrote a novel in a month I was not plotting it along, I highly recommend that you take something that you've plotted out and work on it for a month. Even if you start on the day of listening to this episode and then your NaNoWriMo ends on like December 9th instead of December 1st, whatever you have to do, just dedicate the next 30 days to working on your first draft of your story. Because without working on your first draft of your story, there will never be a finished product. You need to start writing, sweetheart. You need to start writing. That's why I've been absent. It's because I've been writing and I've been focused on getting this book out as soon as possible instead of anything else I could be doing. So a lot of people focus on word count with NaNoWriMo, and I don't think that that is actually productive or efficient. Anytime that I've focused on word count, it has distracted me personally from the story. Although I have been writing since I was in preschool, not even kidding. So, my favorite way to write is in a notebook. It sounds so silly and so old school, but there's a real magic connection when your hand is touching the paper. And there's that pen between the two of you. Like, you become this one thing when it's hand to wand to blank canvas. And I understand that there is a connection when you type on a laptop. I've done that before. It is a really interesting way of writing, but it is just not for me. I have to first draft in a notebook. So get yourself a notebook, take it with you everywhere. What I did the first time I wrote a novella in a month for Flashbacks in Afterglow, I took my notebook with me and I wrote every single day on my lunch break. It was like 10 minutes of my time every single day at work, but it did the trick. So definitely get yourself a notebook, take it everywhere you go. My notebook is too big to take with me to work now, so I just make sure that I dedicate some time once I get off of work every single day this month to write. And I found that when you're not using a computer or a tablet or a phone to write, you get far more immersed into the experience because you don't have that harsh light. And I understand that there's such a thing as blue blocking lenses and blah, 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 blah. Modern technology is amazing, but remember, writing is an art form that has been around for thousands of years, and thousands of years ago they were not using tablets and that kind of thing. They were using pen on paper. Whatever it was back then, it was pen on paper. It was a physical, tangible object, so I highly recommend that you do that for yourself. And then when you go to type it up, then you're already editing, because as you type it up, you notice things that you have missed. Having the pen on paper just allows you to scribble and scratch it out and just get it out of your head as quickly as you possibly can. And then when you go to type it up, then you're putting it through a couple of filters before you even get it to the editing stage. So that's my process. And at the end of 30 days, you are not going to have a finished product by any means. You are going to have something to work with, something to edit, something that's going to need a cover, something that's going to need copy. But it will give you a great head start on what you need to do. So, to wrap things up, this was a really, really short episode, but I wasn't expecting to do it, and I just wanted to hop in and tell you that I'm writing this month. You should be too. And even if you're just working on your outline this month and really fleshing out your characters and the details and your set and setting, whatever you decide to do with November, take this time to really work on your craft. Something that's really interesting about NaNoWriMo is it brings us all together. So you'll see social media posts on NaNoWriMo and what people are working on. I'm making this podcast episode, for example, where I highly encourage you to comment down below and tell me what you're working on, share with your writing group what you're working on. And more, what I want you to take away is that self-publishing and being an independent author does not have to be a solo experience. You're not alone in this. You can have a community. You should have a community. You will be more successful if you have a community, if you have podcasts you listen to and groups you're a part of and writing buddies. You will be far more successful if you don't go at this alone. So my favorite part of NaNoWriMo is how it brings all of the writers out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden everybody on like Threads is where I'm hanging out, but I'm sure Twitter and Instagram and Facebook probably have the same. Pinterest, maybe Snapchat, or authors using Snapchat, I don't know. Probably the TikTok word, but I don't use TikTok. But everybody's coming out of the woodwork, showing off their projects, saying this is what I'm working on, this is my word count, blah, 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 blah. So as of right now, I am on chapter 26 of New Haven is Where the Heart Is. I'm very excited of how it is coming along, and I have no idea how long it will be when I finish. I do have an outline for the last part of the book, but some things are already happening in my writing where I was not expecting certain character developments, and so I'm just happy to be along for the ride. Thank you so much for being here today, sweetheart. Like I said, go pick out your favorite Eirian Stuidos merch. My favorite are the sponge fleece pullover sweatshirts. They're amazing. I don't want to wear anything else. I cannot wait to hear what you are working on, and hopefully I will have an episode for you next month. But until next time, keep on writing and conquer the world. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Writing with Eirian. As a token of my appreciation, I would like to personally invite you to join the Eirian Writes Forum. I have built a place for us to talk, chill, and network that is totally decentralized. No Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, just an old school forum for you to chat and congregate at like the early 2000s. Head over to eirianwrites.com/forum. That's EIRIANWRITES.com/FORUM to join today.